Hey guys, guess what just arrived? Yes, the interconnect cables for the vintage Hewlett-Packard Spectrum Analyzer, so we can finally try to fully power it up. Let's take a closer look at them. If you watched the first part, you might have been thinking, hey, maybe I could cobble together my own. Well, I know people have done it or have tried to do it, and they said it's not easy and they probably don't work as well as the originals. So here's the IF interconnect. We have 5 shielded connectors in the end there. Odd type of small looking push-on connector. I have no idea what those are called. And then this guy I was trying to describe, it has a different type of connector on either end. I don't know if it's the same number of pins on each end. I don't know if they go straight through, some are unused on one, or if they cross over at any point. So I figured I'd save myself a whole lot of time and headache and just buy them. So I need to hook them up on the back of this, and then each one of these units has its own power cord, even though only the bottom one has a power switch. It's kind of a master-slave thing. So I need 2 power cords and these 2 cables. Rig them all up, and let's give it a try. Keep your fingers crossed. They go on pretty easily. Push them down snugly, and then tighten the little screws that are sticking out. So get that guy on, tighten them down, and that is all there is to it. I think finger tightening is plenty sufficient. Alrighty, time for power. Alright, plugged into outlets. Even when it's turned off, you're in standby mode, so we have a yellow amber standby light on both units, drawing a little bit of current. Maybe that's for the HPIB bus. Here we go. So no lights on the bottom unit, which doesn't seem right. Or no, there is one light here showing which input is active. Intensity. Okay. A little disappointing. I was hoping to at least see something on it. It's drawing 1 3/4 amps. And we got a whole lot of buttons here, so it might just simply be a matter of I need to enable some stuff. But probably not good that none of these lights are doing anything. Now I can grab the manual, maybe there's a thing to do to like get this into like factory reset mode kind of thing. But I think a bigger issue is that we don't have anything on the display. And these buttons are not responding either. Okay, so we might be at the start of a new adventure. We had to troubleshoot and repair both units potentially, which would be a drag. Okay, that's what I thought. Upon line on, the instrument will perform an automatic internal adjustment check. One or both of the red instrument lights, instrument check 1 and 2, remain on after this brief routine check to chart below. I got to go back down to the basement. I don't think we had either of those on. Let's continue. Alright, manual calibrator. So, not the greatest quality scan, but I'm pretty sure we should just see something on the display when we turn it on after it warms up a little bit. So I'll read through this a bit more. So here we go about all the controls. I'm really hoping there's a section somewhere that says, I mean, it usually is about like when you first check it out, put all these settings in this position for a known starting point, and then you can start checking out the operation. But at least we know this. So yeah, I'll read through this and check those status lights and move on from there. Alright, after skimming through the first few pages of that manual, it became pretty well apparent that they assume when you turn it on you're going to get something on the display and you're going to be able to push buttons. So we got to figure some fundamental stuff out. So I popped the cover off the top unit, powered it up, and we have all these lovely test points here, and they're all dead on, or within a couple percent. We've got minus 15, we've got plus 15, we've got 23 unregulated, we've got 9 volts, we got 5.2, it's probably for some ECL circuitry, I'm guessing. We got 100 volts. So the one thing I haven't checked is the 18 kilovolts, which, of course, if this is bad, we're not going to get anything on the display, but none of these buttons are working. So I'm thinking there's something else fundamental going on. There's something wrong. I noticed there were no lights on this side, but on closer inspection, there are no lights. All of these points are for adjustments, test points, so I don't think there's anything to light up on this side. So we don't know what the issue is. The only thought I had is maybe there's something like a switch on the back or something to put this into remote operating mode. Like it's going to be fully controlled by the GPIB bus, and maybe when it's in that mode the display and the controls are blanked out. I don't know. But what I do know is I also have a fourth manual, which is for just the top unit, which is the full service manual. Troubleshooting guides, schematics, test points, procedures to go through. So that's what I'm going to start with next. Is that should have some basic, I'm hoping it has a troubleshooting chart. Like if you turn it on and the buttons don't do anything, check this, this, and this. That would be a big help. It's very modular. In general, their service info from this era is very good. It certainly helped me get my 8662A fixed. They had troubleshooting charts, schematics, things to check. It should be very similar for this device. Yes, the service info for this device is excellent. One of the first troubleshooting things they say to do if you have a blank display is check the external outputs. We have XYZ on the output of this. It's a vector display in here. So I have it now going to my WaveTech 1901. Well, let's turn it on. You can see. What do you know? Let's just increase our horizontal gain. Increase our intensity. Well, that's as good as it gets. So it's goofy looking, but it is absolutely putting something out. So let's do some vertical attenuation. So it's a mess, to be sure. Now, part of that is I don't have the blinking enabled, the Z-axis. I only have X and Y. I don't think this WaveTech even has a blinking input. But yeah, it's putting something out. Doesn't look like text or anything. Push some buttons here. So let's see, here's that instrument reset button. Nope. So randomly pushing buttons on the display unit, nothing. But it ain't dead. It ain't dead. So, alright. Removed a bunch of screws, which allowed me to take this off, and there's all our high voltage goodness down in there. We got a little flyback type transformer down in there. We got, it's probably a tripler or something. Going right to this guy and over to, yeah, it goes from there and out. Yeah, it's probably a tripler down in there. We got some high voltage coupling caps or filter caps down in there. Some more on this end. I'm going to guess that these two brown wires are the filament supply. And we've got some test points on this board here. We got something that says minus 3.65 kilovolts. So we got some stuff we can start probing and checking. Nothing jumped out at me right away as being a problem. Looks like we got a high voltage rectifier there. It's probably for focus or something like that. So we can check stuff. And if I need to, I can pull this whole board out and we can really go over it. But let's see. Well, with that cover off, I powered it up and probed around, and that high voltage supply is DED dead. There's nothing, there's no voltage on any of the outputs. So we definitely have a troublemaker there. But I did notice one thing. Doesn't always happen, but there are a couple of neon bulbs in the back, probably there for overarching protection kind of thing. And sometimes they flash when I power it up. So let's see if I can capture that on film here. So I'm going to turn it on. Nope, not that time. So neon light bulbs, they start conducting at something like 90 volts. So sometimes they would use those or use other type of inert gases inside a bulb as sort of like a over voltage protection. So I think that's what those are about. I don't know if there's anything related to the problem with this, but we can certainly get this board out and we can investigate it. I already know that there's at least one of these for sale on eBay if I had to replace the whole board, but it's getting ahead of ourselves. We can certainly do some troubleshooting on it. I'm going to try turning it on again. Nope, not that time. I'll let it power down for a while. When I first noticed this, I'd had this turned off for a few hours, so maybe some charges need to settle down. Alrighty, I reviewed the service info a bit more, and it turns out that the driver for the primary of the high voltage transformer is located on the A1A6 plus minus 15 volt power supply board. So I'm getting ready to pop that out, take a bit of a visual inspection and reseat it. I was going to pull out this board, but it's a bit more involved. I'm not quite sure how it comes out. I can see there's an edge card connector on the other end of it, but it's also got screws going into this metal piece around it. So yeah, and there's cables on the side. They do have disassembly instructions in the service info, but I don't think it's as simple as I can just pull this out. Plus, we have all these cables. Each one of these has a little connector that goes to the board, which I think you can pull off. Well, maybe not. I won't force anything. Yeah, it looks like these are all push-on connectors. They're on there pretty solidly, so let's look at this first. You have to take all these screws off to get this whole piece out of the way before you can get the board out. So, what are you hung up on? Stuck on something over here. Oh, I got to take that little screw out. I see. Let's cut it really small. A little bit. This guy should do. Oh, I take that piece off too. I don't think it'll come off. So as I can see, there's a big old 2N5877 down there. Power transistor. That might be what drives this. That's a pass regulator. Yeah, which it might be, because I also see a. Well, hard to say. We got 3 power transistors on here. Let's not speculate. Let's just take the thing out. Bigger bit again. Since it's a plus minus 15 volt regulator board, I assume there's going to be 2 pass transistors, one for positive, one for negative, maybe one's NP and one's PNP, and then I'm thinking the 3rd power transistor is what's driving the high voltage coil. Alright. Okay, so we got dual 2 on 6055s, and then the 2 on 5877. I'm just going to guess that that's the high voltage coil driver. Got a couple fuses, they look good. There's fuses all over this thing. So I'm just looking for some obvious signs of distress. We got an axial electrolytic here, it's not blown out. We've got 5 tantalum caps here. These are the wet slug type. They're pretty reliable. Very, very expensive if you want to try to replacing one with the same part. Another one there. Unlike the teardrop type, these aren't quite so prone to shorting out and going up in smoke. But anyways, they look okay. Now, visually, everything looks okay. Of course, we can't tell if a transistor is good just by looking at it, but I don't see any obvious charred traces or blown fuses or anything. There's gold-plated edge card connectors. Actually, I bet under this conformal coating, the whole board is gold-plated. I didn't skimp on things like that. Looking at some of these parts to see if... I mean, obviously these aren't house numbered, but I think most of the rest of the stuff is. I think this guy, it's either an op amp or a voltage reference. Those are all house numbered. 1820-0223, for example. And I don't know what the heck these two guys are. Maybe some kind of weird Zener diode voltage reference thing. They just have 2 legs. Or do they have 3 legs? Okay, they do have 3 legs. It looks like one's going to the can, like the outside metal, and then there's 2 leads going up inside. Strange looking things, because the leads on them are like crimped or spot welded or something. It's just a minus 15 volt power supply, nothing too exotic. Oh, it's a nice touch. That must be a thermal cutoff device. It's taped against the side of the heatsink there. You can kind of tell from some of these things, so like U4, U1, those would be integrated circuits. But these don't have part designators next to them. Got F1, F2 for the fuses, but there's nothing next to these two guys. Anyways, I got the full service info. I can check it out. And we got a third fuse here. I mean, they look okay, but of course I can test them for continuity. Alright, so no smoking gun there. Wow, that multi-turn trimmer is completely sealed. They put a big old glob, like hot glue on the end of it so you can't adjust it. It's strange. Let's see, because I think... Let's see, so this one... Oh, that's the high voltage adjustment. And that's the plus 15 volt adjustment. Apparently there's no minus 15 volt adjustment. They probably track. So when you adjust the plus 15, probably the minus 15 changes as well to match it. But curious, there's no trimmer there. Now we know, well, the status lights are good, and I've measured the plus minus 15 with a voltmeter. So no issues there. And when we have this out, I can look at these 2 boards. We got our rectifiers on this guy. Ooh, giant filter cap under there. Giant Sprague. Hard to read. 150,000, 40 volts. More like 15,000 microfarads at 50 volts probably. So look at another power supply board. Stuff is well made, but you can also see it's very serviceable. It's double-sided boards, plated through, discrete components. Some more of those odd-looking parts. I've kind of crimped leads on them. This little guy. I'm not going to bother pulling it out because I can see it pretty well. So all these boards have their individual fuses on them. So between these three boards, there's 1, 2, 3. We have 6 fuses on this, on these 3 boards, and that's in addition to the fuses on the back of the thing. So very, very well protected. Now, gold-plated fingers, gold-plated edge connectors. Everything was seated down. Seems unlikely that just by me doing this, anything would have gotten fixed. But stranger things have happened. Alright, so now obvious visual signs of distress. So, I'm going to put this all back together. Power it up one more time. I did reseat the connectors in the back. And we still have the same problems. I'm going to do my homework and see about how to get this board out. Okay, reassembled for another power-up test. Now, I also want to mention we got bizarre readout on the external XY monitor. The display stuff is under here, so that's another area we can look at. And there are some special modes. There's dip switches or jumpers you short out that was supposed to produce a specific pattern on the output. But even if we got the CRT working, I suspect we got issues here as well. Anyways, here we go. The lights in the front are exactly the same as they were before. And the output on my external vector monitor is exactly it's exactly the same as before, but holy crap. We have something on there. Wow. Holy shit. And now that's bizarre because the external monitor looks like crap, but this is right. This has very nice text on it. Damn. Now I did do one other thing. There's a switch on the back for the 10 megahertz oscillator. It sure looked like it was set to external. I flipped it to internal, which may have made a difference too, but damn. Look at that. Look at that. But still, none of the buttons do anything. We'll hit that reset button. Okay, resets the display. But that's great. That's great. So intensity does its thing. That's really the only control we have that works. You can do focus and alignment and stuff if you have a little screwdriver and put in there. But hot damn. Okay. So, something I did. You know, I just said reseating those cards probably going to do anything. Did something. I'll try flipping that reference oscillator to the opposite position too to see if that does anything. But yeah, so other issue now is none of the buttons do anything. Also, why is the external XY display look so insane? Well, actually I do have one idea. So on my external monitor, I just have X and Y hooked up. There's also supposed to be blinking and Z for intensity. Now, that was a vector monitor. It's got to draw all over. It's like imagine you were drawing stuff with a pen and a sheet of paper and you could never lift the pen up. That's be the equivalent to this. So maybe if I turn the intensity down and had the blanking hooked up, maybe that is right. Seems unlikely because we clearly have a crosshatch and some text on there, and that doesn't even remotely look like a crosshatch blanking or no blanking. So I don't know what's going on with that. But this is what matters. And I mean that looks really nice. I was worried about it being dim or washed out or something, but yeah, I mean that looks good. Alright, I flipped that reference oscillator switch. Let's see if that makes a difference. Also want to mention, I saw Curious Mark troubleshooting one of these, and he used an external XY monitor as well and used a Tektronix. I think it's a 604. I have one of those, which I believe does have the Z and the blanking, so we can try that. Interesting. We're getting nothing on the display. Wow. Is that really what it was? Now, if this works, it makes me wonder, maybe to protect the device, if there's no reference oscillator, it just shuts down parts of it? I just hope it still comes back now. Okay. Not what I wanted to see. But we did see it work. Oh man. Well, I completely shut down everything and killed power to the unit, so even the standby power was gone. Turned it all back on, and the display came back. So clearly we still have some issues to work out, but I'm psyched. I hope you guys are too. It's getting late. That's going to be it for now. Thanks for watching.